Hi, my name is Johanna Colon, and I'm a middle school social studies virtual content specialist. Today, we're going to be focusing on Unit 4, Day 2. This is a teacher-facing video. This is 2 of 2, and we're going to be exploring causes of World War I. Our focus question is, what were the major causes of World War I? So our big ideas are, of course, main, right? So World War I, alliances, militarism, nationalism, and imperialism. And our areas of focus, of course, for days 1 and 2, building background knowledge, targeting vocabulary development, increasing access to grade level texts, and using students' home language as a resource. This is all in accordance with the division of multilingual learners. And we are going to be exploring Google Translate and guiding questions. So our lesson objective is to identify the major causes of World War I, right, which is really day 1. And now we're going to examine the key event associated with the beginning of the war. And really what we're talking about here is um, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, right? And we're going to see how Maine is going to expand, right? Because that's part of the summary here. How did the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand lead to the start of the war? So they get that through this, we get to read about it here, which we focused in the other teacher facing video. And then the great part of this introduction model is that you deal with this map. So you kind of, now you're using geography to determine, well, okay, how close are these countries to each other, right? And how exactly is geography going to play a role in World War I? Because it does, right? And of course, due to geography and close proximity and alliances, people are going to get dragged into the war. And that's what we want the students to get out of this map. So of course, this is something that your ELLs will have a good, uh, this is going to really help them because they can visually see the representation of how people will get dragged into this war, right? So that's the question that is posed here in this introduction or model. And then as we move forward, they get independent work, but our focus here is going to be more so on the wrap up and, of course, the check for understanding. So the main categories and what they mean, that's easy, right? Because that's all day 1. The students should understand what this means. Great thing about these review questions is that you can copy paste them right into Google Translate. Let's say I want to translate to Arabic, right? I have them here. And what I can simply do is duplicate the slide and paste them right into there so the students can have them side by side, right? English and Arabic. Now, you can have them preview these questions the day before so that they can kind of figure out how they're going to tackle it in English. But it's always good to let students answer or collaborate or contribute in their home language. You can do this activity through a Jamboard where you're posing each question and the students can include post-its or images, right? Visual representations are perfect as well. Of course, here, how the main categories relate to World War I? They're drawing from days 1 and 2, right? This is going to help them understand how the main core categories contributed, because that's what how did they lead to World War I? So that could be a better guiding question. How did Maine lead to World War I, right? How did it contribute? That's what we're getting at with that number 2, right? And of course, when you can offer students these guiding questions that are honing in on these main questions, right? So purple. And how and why the assassination set off events that led to World War I. Okay. How and why did the assassination of the Archduke set off World War I? How did this, like, it was like the cherry on top. That's what you want the students to know, is the cherry on top. Why? Why was it? Well, it's an act of aggression, right? And in teacher facing video 1 of 2, we really discussed that. So you want to, that's why you really want to make sure that you drive this home and you drive this home, of course. Then for the checking for understanding part, you have the causes, the explanation. How did it lead to the war, right? So the explanation is how, right? Well, not the how. This is this part. I'm sorry. What I mean by explanation is, and we can offer, because the students might be like, what did they mean by an explanation? So the question that you're asking here is militarism, right? What did militarism look like? What did, fill in the blank, right? What did the cause look like before World War I, right? So many countries were building up their militaries, alliances. Many countries were becoming allies because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, many countries wanted to expand, right? So you can also provide your students with sentence starters, right? So before World War I, fill in the and then you fill in the blank, right? So sentence starters really help your English language learners, right? Because sometimes they struggle with starting their sentences, right? How did this lead to war? So blank led to World War I because, right? So that's definitely something you might want to consider providing your students with. It's a great way to help them. And then here, how did the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand lead to the start of World War I? So you can teach your students to how to start their sentences by taking part of a question, right? The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand led to the start of World War I because, and then they have to do that, right? Now, here's another way you can check for understanding, which is amazing as well. You can have the students storyboard, create their storyboards, which I need to upgrade my browser, but they can create their digital story based on what they've learned. So, what is militarism? What are alliances? Imperialism, right? Where they're explaining this and also talking, and it also shares how it led to the World War I, right? So that's one way to check for understanding with using this, but instead of having them write it out, they can create something, which is amazing. You could also have them create presentation, so like a Prezi or maybe Google Slides or PowerPoint, right? They can use their home language. That's totally acceptable. But there are definitely different ways to check for understanding, and they are valid and, of course, appropriate for our English language learners and will most definitely help them. Thank you so much. I hope this helps.